Welcome back! Remember, if you like the videos, like, subscribe, comment, share, support the channel if you want. I appreciate it. Thanks. I'm going to do another video. I think I made a video about this a couple years ago, but just because it's kind of it relates to the topic I was talking about sort of recently when I talked about Guy's hurricane kick video. At least it made me think about it, right? And so I'm going to combine a few concepts here. And maybe, I don't remember if I talked about this in the first video I did about this a couple of years ago. I would assume I did, but I don't remember. But what's old is new again. This is kind of an example of why having one button throws is actually good in a game, right? So this video is going to talk about why, although I definitely believe in the idea of allowing, you know, kind of balance in the chaos, letting the game marinate on its own, sometimes there are moves that you should overanalyze and overthink for the integrity of your game, right? And although I've also said that I can appreciate two button throws, you know what I mean? I kind of like it does feel kind of good when you're mashing on like a duck short, you know, doing like a jab and a short, and it can like tech a throw as well. There is a kind of perspective that I do think that's kind of fun for teching throws like that, but I think this is another good example why having one button throws can kind of allow a video game to actually, or a character, progress farther than they could normally if you did not have one button throws. And why I'm talking about this is I have used this move as an example before of the conundrum of Ryus hop kick in Street Fighter, right? And Ryus hop kick is a potential conundrum in Street Fighter, in fighting games, because it is such a potentially versatile move considering the character, right? The hop kick going over low and footsies, all this kind of stuff. Just having a hop kick like that, you know what I mean? It kind of augmentates. God, my English is terrible. It kind of like fiddles with Ryu's character design so potentially in such an extreme way. It can be a big conundrum of a move, right? So it's like you got this Fireball Dragon Punch character who already is excelling at one certain aspect of the video game. Now giving him such a versatile normal is potentially a conundrum for the sake of the integrity of the game. But it's actually a move that, if you think about it, it's so easy to fix, right? And one of the problems is that when they put Ryu's hop kick in Street Fighter in these games, is they have made the hitbox static. And I don't know why the developers have never thought of fixing this, but making the move not static makes it okay, right? And this is what I'm going to get at, right? So I am a big believer in that when you have a move, the move should not do something that it doesn't look like it should do, right? I know, you know, there's kids nowadays that complain like, oh my God, I can't believe this character did a roundhouse and that swings their leg backwards and it hit me from behind. And I'm always like, if it didn't hit you, wouldn't that be weird? It looks like it's hitting you, so I think it probably should, right? So the conundrum of is this, if we look at, like, say, if we use hop kick was static, what would be a potential conundrum of this move? Well, the hitbox, let's look at it right here. This is how we fix this. If it is always static, if this move is always static, you can't get this kind of quality. If you can't get paint quality on any other channel. You don't get this kind of quality, and you know it's true. You don't get this kind of quality. You only get this quality on the FGC, on NPC. So we got this thing right here. Well, that's still going to hit him. That's still whacking the top of his head, right? So I skipped ahead of myself for a little bit. Let's say that Ryu's hop kick has 3 frames where it can hit the person, right? Well, if we keep the hitbox static like it is for a lot of normals back then, well, you know what? If it hits 3 frames, well, this is a problem. Because if it hits him right here, like, you know, the hop kick does in these other games, right? I probably should have used the Street Fighter Alpha Spray, but again, this is the quality you get here. Well, if it hits for 3 frames, the hop kick, no matter what you do, because you don't want the hop kick to be too powerful, is always going to leave you at a disadvantage, right? If it hits for 3 frames. Because otherwise the move is too powerful. But this is how we fix this. So fucking simple. Again, let's say the move hits for 3 frames. Let's say that we change it so the first 2 frames of the move, again, this is the quality you get here. This is the quality you get here. The first 2 frames of the move is this sprite right here. Okay? So what we have right now is, again, amazing quality. Well, the first 2 frames of the move is not going to be visually deceptive because there is a hurt box there, right? It can hit you, right? But now if we're talking about playing with the game in a real match, let's say it hits what will be the frame data of the first 2 frames of the move. Let's say if Ken was standing on block, it's -2 frames. If it were to hit with the second frame, for some reason, it's -1 frame. Again, here, if it were to hit standing, -1 frame. If it hit the first frame, if for some reason it missed the second frame, it's going to be 0, right? What does this do? What does this do? The purpose of the move is not to hit a standing opponent ever, right? The purpose of the move, and again, I know normally I'm not for moves being so pre-planned, but for a move that could potentially be so versatile for a character that normally does not have this kind of move, this is where pre-planning a move actually is a good idea. So when we take into the account that in this Street Fighter game we have one frame throws, now when Ryu does his hop kick and it never is used in a way that it's supposed to, quotation marks being used, now Ryu, whenever he uses his hop kick, guess what? Because of 1 button throws, Ryu gets punished no matter what. He gets thrown because 1 button throws, right? This is a problem with the move in, you know, other games like Street Fighter Alpha where the move, because the hitbox is static with the move, too often, even when you punish people with it, you potentially can be punished, right? You shouldn't be able to be punished like, you know, in all these situations that you can be punished with it. It's just, it's kind of a conundrum of a move, right? This is a way to fix the move. We have 1 button throws, right? If it hits the opponent standing, because it's not being quotation marks used properly, in these 2 frames, guess what? Even on hit, block or hit, you can be thrown. I think that sounds a fair trade-off. Now, again, nothing is visually deceptive. Now the hitbox is no longer static. The rest of the hitbox comes out. And, whoa, guess what? We hit Ken. We hit whatever character this character was doing. Maybe he was doing a duck sweep, whatever it might be. You know, duck roundhouse, duck short, whatever fucking move he was doing, duck and move. Now it hits. But we don't want the move to be too powerful. So let's just say on block, guess what? It's 0. It's a guessing game, right? We don't want Ryu to be too powerful that he has this versatile move that puts him at the advantage, but he's at 0. But only if it's on hit. Only if it's on hit are you +1, are you at the advantage. And who knows, maybe there's counter hits in the game. Let's say there's counter hits in the game for whatever reason. You know, I'm not against counters. Let's say on counter hits, it's a +2. You know, whatever it might be. But do you see what I'm getting at? This is such a simple way of fixing a potential problematic move, right? And I also think it's a good example of showing why 1 button throws are potentially good. Because normally moves are not normally moves are not 1 frame, obviously, right? So, but when we have these 1 frame moves, it actually allows us to put in a move like this, right? Because it allows us to manipulate the game in such a specific way that normally, again, I am not for. But in this case, having a 1 button move, throws, allow us to manipulate the game and a character and a move to such a specific degree that it allows us to try to progress the character a bit. Because I always say that there's only so much you can do with a fighting game. You know, there's only so much you can do with a 2D fighting game. And there's only so much you can do with a character and a character archetype before that you start becoming shades of gray with these characters, that these characters start to have a little bit of what made this character special, right? Because there's only so much you can do. you start to add this to a character. It's like, well, doesn't that character have a little bit of that? And these characters kind of start, you know, blending together a little bit, right? And that's why moves like these are problematic, because you do want to try to progress a game and a character, but there's really only so much you can do before you got to start making it specific. And that's why I always think that Ryus hop kick is such an easy example of a time when you can pre-plan a move, when generally speaking you should not so overly pre-plan. Normally, hitboxes are pretty much static in these games, especially when it's the same animation, the legitimate same sprite, right? But this is an example where we are not putting in a move that is not, it doesn't look deceptive. It's not like this hop kick can't hit you. You know what I mean? It's just that it hasn't touched the character's hitbox yet, or hurt box yet, right? Now the hitbox has gotten bigger on the last frame, and the last frame is only going to hit the opponent if he's ducking and doing an attack in the first place. Then the move, being used as it should be, works, quotation marks, right? And if the move is not used properly, guess what? You get punished. Do you get what I'm saying? I feel like this is such a simple thing. Don't make the hitbox static in a move like this, because again, I always feel like alpha is such a conundrum, because there are times when even when you use the move properly, because the hitbox on the move is static, you can be punished. When it is such a simple goddamn fucking fix, especially in a game when you have one button throws, right? Anyway, I made a video about this before, you know what I mean? But I think it's a good topic and an interesting topic. Remember, if you like the videos, like, subscribe, comment, share, support the channel if you want. Here's for the 2% female viewership. Appreciate the nipples. Anyway, the end. Thanks.